day 2 of the drip marketing and Honkai Sterial, and we have Argenti. Now, I don't really know what to say about this character other than his knight and shining armor appearance matches that of the Hoyoverse community. That's kind of messed up. But I do like his design overall, looks pretty good. I think him looking like a male version of Himiko looks even better. I think these two look kind of alike, especially with their facial appearance. Now, of course, if you have them side by side, I'm probably sure that's not the case. But anyways, he's a physical Erudition character. Now, with him being Erudition, one of the things I thought about was, well, what can he do that is differently from the current cast of Erudition characters, other than provide elemental coverage with being a physical character? But in this video, we're going to figure out whether or not that's important, or if he should just, like Jing, have high multipliers. Now we have a good look at Himiko. You can see the similarities between these two characters. Now, probably not. It's just their red hair that I'm, flabbergasted over. But anyways, Himiko is a very strong AoE damage dealer. She was definitely a character at launch that wasn't really sought after because, well, for one, she was a character that was mostly in-game oriented. You could say a lot of the AoE damage dealers are harder to build than single target, mostly because there's no way of getting as much crit as you would on a character like this versus characters like Steel. There's lots of crit in Lycoons, and there's a lot of crit in the traces of that character. I do understand Kimiko does have traces with crit, but it's not on the same degree as a character like Seal. But one of the things Himiko makes up for that is the fact that she does very nice AoE damage and is especially strong against enemies that are weak to fire. Now, as time went on, that has made Himiko an exceptional character, and the reason being, for the fire break in Honkai Star is one of the hardest hitting break multipliers when it comes to the damage you get after breaking the toughness of the enemy. And Himiko doing that on a mass AoE scale works in her favor. QQ, who has been regarded as one of the best damage dealers in the game, some people say she's even the best. Personally, I think she's an amazing AoE damage dealer of the Quantum Element. I personally use her in my Mono Quantum team, and I have never been disappointed with her, other than the fact that she's doing this right now on the screen. Now, she brings about a unique playstyle that is different from all the other characters in the Erudition path, but you could also argue different from any character in the game aside from Denham, Baby to the Night, but still different than him to a degree. She has a gambling mechanic that kind of funnels more damage to her enhanced basic attack, will you? So the more skill points you use, the more damage your enhanced basic attack will do. But on the contrary of that, that means, well, you probably aren't going to have as many skill points as you might want all the time. So this is a character that is really limited in the nature of RNG, but once you unlock copies of the character, it definitely does make her feel a lot more better to play. So with Argenti being now the second limited Erudition character, we can take a couple of things from Jing and apply it to this character. Maybe just like Jing, he'll have high multipliers in his kit, allowing him to deal mass AoE damage. I think it's pretty hard to make unique Erudition characters, because there is the Destruction Path, which we'll get into later in the video, that kind of takes away from the glory of a character like Jing and all the other Erudition characters. Being a different element is still pretty good, because that's elemental coverage, and this game is all about breaking the weakness of the enemy. So having a now physical damage dealer aside from Clara is always going to be nice. And I do know Su Sheng does exist, but she's single target. It's what I'm trying to insinuate here. The Erudition path now becoming a much more optimal path and holding its own in AoE situations. One of the most important things to take into consideration is that every single character here is able to hit up to 5 enemies, whether with their ult, but having characters here excel really well in those situations is very important, because maybe there will be a time in the hardest contents in the game where you'll need to hit 5 enemies at once. The truth is, paths like the Destruction have been taking the spotlight away from the path of Erudition. These characters excel really well in many scenarios, one of them being AoE situations, and in the case of Honkai Stories of recently, Blast, where you fight one big enemy and then 2 minor enemies on the side. And well, if you're hitting just 3 enemies, it doesn't really matter if you can hit 5, because that's not what the content asks for. As much as you love characters like Himiko existing in Honkai Star Rail, and I think we need more characters with a great design like her personally, she is a character that has also still the shine away from the path of Erudition. She's an amazing buffer when it comes to damage over time, but she is a character just like other characters in other paths that have been very good in AoE situations, a little too good. So for Argenti, it's going to be kind of hard to keep up with what's in the game currently, and I think a character like Argenti might have to do a lot more than other characters do currently, and we're talking about the Erudition here. Characters like Serval excel really well in situations where the enemy is weak to lightning, but she is a free character you get in the game, so you can only expect her to carry you so far. Herta being a very solid 4-star character, she may not be the best for every situation in the game, but she is still pretty good at what she's good at, and that is clearing out mobs. Being able to spin the win is one of the best things this character can do, and I think she has her place in the game currently. When it comes to light cones in the path of Erudition, a lot of the light cones are presented to be, well, kind of underwhelming. But Before Dawn is still a powerful 5-star light cone, this being a light cone that makes every single character in the path of Erudition turn to a killing machine. I wish I had this on my Himiko and my QQ because this is the best option in the path currently. One of the things to take into consideration is that 5-star light cones have been really strong for limited characters as of recently, like they were in the beginning of the game. So Argenti's light cone has to be on the same playing field as Before Dawn, because otherwise why would you go for that light cone when you could just wait for Jinx to come back and get all the overloadedness it has baked into its passive. And I guess the biggest competition you could argue for Argenti is going to be Clara, but the truth is I don't agree with that because Clara is a very unique character in which she virtually needs no speed and she can act as a sub DPS character. Now that is a lot different from an Erudition character who most of the time needs to use their elemental skill in order to deal the most damage they can deal, because at the end of the day they still act like hyper carries just like the Path of Hunt and the Path of Destruction. So now Erudition characters like Argenti are going to be featured in a lot of hyper carry teams going forward. And I mean, Clara you could put in a hyper carry team as well, but she is much more flexible than a character like Argenti. Now let's be honest here, the logic behind characters now in Honkai Star Rail has kind of been thrown out the door, while characters in paths are now sticking their fingers in the other paths and now making those characters double dip, maybe even triple dip. I mean, we've been seeing characters like Dan Heng of Beaver's Nai do a lot more than characters in the single target category, which is the Hunt path, and do even more than characters in the AoE situations known as the Erudition. So Argenti is a character that may just be extremely strong like him, he may be on the same field as a character like Jing, which I think will be most optimal, or he may just be a character that has a kit just like QQ that we probably didn't see coming. But that's going to be the video here. Thank you for watching. I did not put teams in this video because honestly, let's be honest here, I don't think any of us know what this character is going to do. Maybe there already is leaks for the character, but I have not looked at anything. So I'm going into this blind per se, but I just know that him being a limited Erudition character means he probably will just be dealing a ton of damage. Because why else would they have another Erudition character when we already have so many that deal pretty good damage? And the Path of Destruction is running rampant right now. So all I'm trying to say here is this is pretty much going to be power creep. Let's not kid ourselves here. Thank you for watching and have a nice rest of your day or night. Peace. Having a different element is always nice because physical is a still strong, very good element. I know it's a weird way to... One of the things that scares me is that we've now re-entered the ways of the